Hey friends, welcome to another episode of the Mystic Junkie. I'm your host, I'm Jason, and this is the show where we talk about all things weird. Hey. Today we're talking about something that I would say a lot of people know about. I think everyone maybe thinks of this in some way or fashion. You're kind of forced to with mainstream media these days. And honestly, long before this current day, it's been forced in your face. And today what we're talking about is angels. What are angels? Are there more than one type of angel? Is the angel that we're all used to seeing, or the depictions that we're all used to seeing, are they accurate? Or is there something else to all of this? I'm not an expert on anything, but I really do love this stuff. I really try to find the most accurate information, but if there's something that I missed or I got wrong, please let me know. Leave in the comments below. I want to learn more. And since we're talking about it, make sure that you like this episode and you subscribe to this channel. The more subscribers we have, the more likes, the more comments, the more I get to talk about this fun, weird shit with you guys. And I really appreciate the opportunity to keep on doing that because I really love this. I think sometimes it's an intimidating topic for me personally to talk about because I think some people may look at this topic as more factual than others. Like some topics that I talk about on the show feel very whimsical, it's in the movies. And this topic is something that people pray to, people pray about. I understand that completely. Our angels are normally depicted as the most beautiful thing ever in mainstream media. You see the white-robed generic, it's Americanized version of angels, white robe, wings. I guess you could say it's not even just an Americanized thing. It's like a European Western. Like there's a lot going on. Most people perceive these things as they have big white wings, long white robes. Depending on the region you're in, they look very human-like, but they're beautiful. And there's also like very attractive long-haired women, very attractive long-haired men. Everybody is seen as just beautiful and perfect. They're like birds. There is also the cupid angel, the angel where he's like a naked baby. Well, I guess he's a baby with a diaper. He's a baby, and he's got these small wings, and he's floating around, and he's the reason why you ended up with your wife. That little angel is the reason why you have to pay child support. That little angel is the reason why you cannot stand your mother-in-law. According to mainstream media, angels are large fairies, essentially floating around doing good, saving people, protecting people from things. That doesn't really give it justice. Ezekiel 1:5-13. Out of the middle of the fire came what appeared to be 4 living creatures. This is what they looked like. They had the appearance of human beings. Each one had 4 faces, and each one had 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and they had hooves like the hooves of calves, glittering like polished brass. Beneath their wings, they had human hands on all 4 sides, along with their 4 faces and 4 wings. As for the appearance of their faces, each one had a human face, and a lion's face on the right side, and a bull's face on the left side, and an eagle's face around it, which looked like burning coals and lamps going up and down among the living creatures. The fire was bright, and out of the fire came lightning. I don't know if I would look at that and be excited. So this is actually an account from the prophet Ezekiel in the Bible. And it is talking about an encounter with the 4 living creatures on the bank of Chabar in 593 BC. So this is supposed to be like a visual representation of what angels are. This is like a group of angels from my understanding, and I am just going to say I do not want to run into this group of angels. That sounds terrifying. Angels are interesting. There's quite a few religions who participate in the idea of angels. Until you break it down and kind of look at it as a list, there is a lot going on. It's before Christianity really took over as one of the religions that is colonizing across the world. And that idea of angels is like the guardian angels, the archangels. There are angels that are fighting the devil. There are angels that are protecting earth. Angels are sent to earth by God to protect the people. There's a whole hierarchy that happens. The words that we hear, the depictions that we maybe hear, aren't necessarily accurate. So I told you about the human depictions of angels, but there's also this depiction of angel where it is it's like it has wings and it's like spinning rings and it's covered in eyes. The biblically accurate version is it has the 4 wheels, had rims, and they had spokes, and their rims were full of eyes round about the Ophanim. Now, people are starting to attribute that to every angel. I think it's becoming more like popular in mainstream culture. It's kind of scary looking, so we're starting to bring it to light a little more because it kind of goes against the old common depictions of what an angel looks like. At some point, we went from having gods, goddesses, different deities, different supernatural beings, a society. We've had our culture is, in my opinion, the culture is to tell stories. We love stories to tell how things work, regardless of if that's how the thing works. That is how we're all going to believe that's how it works. A lot of conflict and a lot of cosmic chaos, if you will, going on. And at some point, all of those things did in fact get lumped into angels. They are powerful divine beings that are unseen, and they kind of make their way into just being lumped into all of that. So there's been reports with angelic activity all throughout time. People say that they see things in the skies. They say that an angel saved them from getting hit by a car, or they like getting hit by a horse-drawn carriage. I don't know. It varies over time. The stories of the archangel Michael. We have the depiction of the group of angels and all their different animal faces, and then we have the depiction of the angels like with the 4 wheels. There's a lot more to the divine order. When we swing into the Middle Ages, people at that point are primarily focused on the Catholic religion, the Christian religion, and that angels are the individuals in robes that they're coming down to give us secret messages. They're from God. They are here to protect. They're here to keep safe, and their whole goal is to serve the human race. They're considered to be really balanced beings, so I think if you were purely focused on the culture and what humans are doing and what they're not doing and the good and the bad things that's going on, I don't think you're going to be very balanced. I think a lot of people who spend their time on social media all the time can relate to that quite a bit. So in the 14th century, the Middle Ages, people were really, really focused on religion, sickness. Just a lot of really bad stuff has happened. There's a lot of changes happening, and we're heading towards the Renaissance. So when I mean bad stuff is happening, we've got the Black Death. We've got the 100-Year War. We've got a lot of other crises that are reshaping Europe, and people need answers. People want to know, what can they do to avoid all of these evil, bad things? With that comes curiosity. And when you're curious, you want to find the answers to things. And one of the answers was, what are angels? What's going on? How are they helping? What can we do? Religion is typically a great coping mechanism for people who are afraid. There were people out there trying to figure out what was going on. The age of angelology, a time where people have had varied depictions of what angels are and where they came from, what they symbolize, and their sightings, and just what they do. Why are they here? In the 14th century, calculated there are 301,655,722 angels in the universe. 301,655,722 angels. Where was the census? How do we know this? He smoked a doobie before he wrote this number down. So out of the 301,655,722 angels, they are broken down into the following. This seraphim, the highest class, who are angels of radiant love and contemplate the divine order and providence. What's happening? So they make sure they're thinking. They're up top and they're thinking about what's going on. The cherubim, angels of absolute wisdom who contemplate the divine essence and form. I know what's going on. I know what's happening around me. I've been around enough. I'm wise enough to get this. And I am going to figure out essence and form. The thrones, not to be mistaken with a chair or a toilet. Thrones also contemplate, though some proceed from contemplation to action. So from my understanding, it's a divine angel that not only thinks, but it does. What does it do? Whatever it thinks it wants to do. Because they're thinking. Dominations. Dominations are like architects and plan what the lower orders carry out. I don't think I would say that's an architect. I would think maybe that's a manager. Or maybe it's upper management. We have like the CEOs running Angelopolis, Angel LLC, Angel Corp, if you will, or maybe like Big G Corp, Big U, like the big universe. You have your CEOs, your executives, and then you have your upper management. So this is how we're gonna arrange you guys, and this is what I need you to do. We have the virtues. The virtues move the stars and the planets and serve as instruments of the divine and the working of miracles. So I would move heaven and earth to make this miracle happen for you. I will move the stars and the planet to make this happen for you. They're playing guitars in the sky to move Saturn over to the left just a degree or two. Powers. Powers maintain the universe in harmony with the divine will. Some descend to interact with humans. So these are the powers of the universe. So these are the divine angels. This is what I mean when I say like the pagan religions, the varied European religions, they're lumped gods and goddesses turned into the angels hierarchy, because overall these beings have control of what's going on, and they are pulling strings and facilitating different things that are happening, but only some of these beings are actually going down to work with humans. Principalities have nations and their rulers in their keeping. So that's just another group of angels who be maintaining nations and the rulers that keep those nations. And so is that implying that if you are in some type of leadership, you're out here like, I got my own angel, my principalities. Principalities. Anybody hanging out? Here we go. The archangels. They have responsibility for religion and look after holy things. So that specifically It's such an interesting statement to me because it's just for the religions. They're here to protect and participate and look after the holy things. Other things, no. Angels, just angels. Angels, the lowest class, who take care of minor affairs and serve as guardian angels to individual humans. So I guess you could say like angels, just angels. Those are protecting humans, but there's all these other types of angels that are also protecting other things. In the Kabbalah, they have other classifications of angels. So that's the Jewish tradition of spiritual philosophy, which is the basis for both most Western high magic. And there's 10 orders of angels, and it is described as the 10 spheres of the mystical tree of life. So again, I really don't. This order is different from the order that I just went through with you. So this order is what's in the Kabbalah. That is where we got 301,655,722 angels in the universe. So going through that. So this was one breakdown. Let's go to the other breakdown. This is where you just have to be patient with me. Cheoth Ha Kodesh, holy living creatures, the highest of the angels who bear the throne of the divine. The Ophanim, the wheels of the whirling forces, angels of wisdom, described as wheels within the wheels covered everywhere with eyes. The Erelim is actually the mighty ones, the angels of understanding. The Chash Malim, the shining ones, the angels of mercy and magnificence. Here are the Seraphim, the burning ones, the angels of severity and justice. Malachim, the kings, the angels of beauty and harmony. The Tarshishim, the sparkling ones, angels of victory. I particularly really like that. Sparkly and victorious. Yes. And then the Ben Elahim, children of the divine, angels of glory. Cherubim, strong ones, angels of the foundation of the universe. In the Ishim, human beings, angels of the material world. In many Kabbalistic traditions, the archangel is then the highest angel. All of these religions are trying to describe the same concept and the same virtues, the same aspects of the cosmic world. They are breaking those things down into divine beings that then control and facilitate certain things. So we have depictions throughout history where people are having like spiritual teachings and they're describing something that is like a human-like being, and it almost sounds like an alien. Like, it sounds as if they are having an interaction with a alien-like creature in a UFO. And then there's said to be certain art, or I've seen things online. I never know with online, the History Channel, Ancient Aliens, where they'll have like a piece of art where it's like a holy piece of art, and then there are UFOs like painted in the background of angels. So there are some depictions that angels are just aliens. I don't know, dude. I just don't know. Some people claim that angels talk to them. There's a lot of stories that people are out here having conversations with angels, and it's one of those things, just like any other mythical creature, where there are people who are claiming that it's real but nobody's saying anything. And with religion and with spirituality, there's a way of being to where you just have to have faith in things. And I myself, I get that. I understand that concept. So going through this, it's more fun and just kind of like just really an exciting take to think that there's just so much going on. This universe has so many different concepts. There's so many different things that are at play in the cosmic world. And from an outside perspective, it does look like chaos. It does look like a bunch of divine beings like in your typical Greek stories, these divine beings with very human-like traits making very selfish decisions, and then it switches over and we're looking at these individuals or categories of these individuals who are maybe not as human-like in their actions, but the divine, and they have these specific roles to facilitate certain things. So we're looking at them as less humans and more like perfect, and they just absolutely know what they're doing. More of a blind faith. That perspective has kind of shifted throughout time because it wasn't necessarily always the case when we were looking at these things. With humans come this place of curiosity. People are claiming that they've seen them. People are claiming that they're talking to them. People are claiming that they're dealing with these things. The signs that point to the presence of an actual angel. So are you dealing with an angel? Or if you're a mystic, you could be dealing with other things. There could be other spirits that aren't necessarily angelic. Maybe they have ulterior motives. So there's this book called Sister of Darkness by R.H. Stavis and Sarah Durand, and it's a really cool book. It talks about how people throughout history are. She claims to be one of the first non-religion affiliated exorcists. So she talks about like how there are tricksters out there who pretend that they are angels. So people are saying that they're hanging out with Archangel Michael, for instance, and he's helping them facilitate their whole life and make decisions and whatever. And I think when people are saying that, like, they're not, some could be physically seeing it. Maybe it's like a feeling of coincidences, thoughts, whatever. There's a lot of different things that are telling them that they're hanging out with Archangel Michael. But according to this book, which again I'd like to get into sometime, I haven't completely finished it, but according to this book, it's one of those scenarios where you could be dealing with a trickster spirit, and a trickster possession who is shape-shifting itself into this archangel, and is making you believe that we are making divine decisions. But I think that's one of those things where you have to remember you're not that special. I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that in any which way. But if you think that you are the person that the Archangel Michael has decided to hang out and make sure that you become the manager at Publix, it's not. It's not that. So, signs to point to the presence of an actual angel. An entity interacts with one or more human beings in a wholly and constructive and a positive manner. The nature of the interactions corresponds broadly to those roles assigned to the angels in the traditional lore. So they're doing what the lore says they do. The entity either has no physical presence or behaves in ways that ordinary physical beings cannot. For example, by appearing or disappearing suddenly and without physical trace. So be careful with that. Have you taken any mind-bending substances? The entity does not appear to be hindered by material objects in any way, but can manipulate such objects at will. See, that's the one where I would be like, okay, what the hell is happening? Just picked up my energy drink can and he threw it across the room, and I wasn't finished with that. Took a sip and said, I already have wings. If the entity makes a prediction about future events and it proves to be accurate in all detail. Again, that is one of those situations that where, like, again, in the Sister of Darkness books, it talks about that tricksters, they be tricking. This is going to happen. And it does. I think take everything with a grain of salt. And remember, don't get too caught up. So angels are here to help. It says it's a positive thing. So if you're caught up and you're starting to feel as if you're drained, you're starting to feel as if things are not necessarily going right, but they're not necessarily going wrong. You're starting to feel like you're missing out on things. I would really start to consider that's not an angel. hanging out with you. And again, just really remember that you're not, I don't mean this in a bad way. But you're not that important. Archangels are probably not hanging out with you. If you have a sense of clarity and peace, though, if there is, it's like everything is always okay. And everything feels balanced, and you're working towards something right. And when you run into issues and it's constructive, I think consider that maybe to be a good thing. But also consider that it's one of those scenarios where how you behave, from my understanding, how you behave really affects your entire experience. So you can't have an ego if you feel an angel around. It's just what they do. I think as humans, we have to remember that like our participation in the divine order of the cosmic realm or the spiritual realm, whatever you want to call it, of this other dimension that is ours also. I think we have to remember that we are not a part of it in the way that we think we are. They're not working for you specifically, they are working for the higher good. Looking through all of this, I don't know how I feel about that all the former gods and goddesses are now considered to be different angels broken down, and like maybe some of those two went over to be like fae. It's a hard one to really pin down because I think it's one of those things to where if you're dealing with it, you feel it, and you can tell or you can't tell and you're being tricked. And if you're not being tricked, then something that you're doing or something around you is participating in a higher order. And it's one of those things where you just kind of have to accept what's going on. I've had some crazy experiences throughout my life that I don't really know what to pinpoint them as. I have a lot of really weird stories. I have a lot of coincidental situations, a lot of like extreme peace and almost enlightenment feeling. I don't know, but I can't tell you I've ever had an exact answer on what's going on or what's happening. Like I said, I think the best thing you can do is just trust that the path that you're on when you're feeling this way is the path that you're supposed to be, and you have to take every step to keep on going. I think when you're doing something that you enjoy, you'll find more peace and you'll find more stillness. And I think that is the feeling that people really seek when they're saying that they're surrounded by angels. Is like I said, like if you're not harming anybody, then the quest for peace, the quest for silence, stillness, like that's what we all want. And I think we use the concept of angels as a starting point for those feelings, the absoluteness of those feelings. They're the leaders of those things, and they protect us and they guide us and they keep us rolling, and they set us up with our future partner, and they make sure that there's balance in this world, in this universe. What do you guys think? Do you think there's angels out there? What did you think of this episode? The hierarchy, the different systems of angels. Do you think that they're here to help us, or they're here to help the whole world? Have you ever had an experience? I would love to hear about it. Let me know. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of The Mystic Junkie. I'm Jason, and I will see you soon, friends.